There's a corner in every casino that always seems crowded. Not the blackjack tables, not the roulette wheels, not even the poker room where players think they can outsmart the house. It's the slot machine floor. And if you watch closely, you'll notice something strange. Certain machines always have someone sitting at them. Day or night, weekend or weekday, there's a line of people waiting. A rhythm of flashing lights and electronic melodies that never stops. These aren't random machines. They're not the newest games. Sometimes they're not even the ones with the biggest jackpots. They're what casinos call popular slots. And that word, popular, it's not what you think it means. I've spent years studying casino psychology, talking to slot designers, speaking with former casino managers who've seen the patterns. And what I discovered is that the machines people are drawn to aren't popular because they're better. They're popular because they're designed to be impossible to walk away from. Every sound, every color, every spin, it's all engineered with one goal in mind: to keep you playing longer than you intended, to make you believe you're closer to winning than you actually are, to trigger something deep in your brain that overrides logic and reason. The gambling industry calls this player engagement. Psychologists call it behavioral manipulation. And most people sitting at these machines have no idea it's happening. You see, slot machines today aren't mechanical anymore. They're not controlled by physical reels and springs. They're sophisticated computers running algorithms designed by teams of psychologists, mathematicians, and software engineers. Every aspect of the experience is calculated: the speed of the reels, the frequency of near misses, the timing of bonus rounds. Even the chair you're sitting in has been designed to keep you comfortable enough to stay for hours. And the most popular machines? They're the ones that have perfected this formula. They create what researchers call a flow state, a trance-like condition where time disappears, where you lose track of how much you've spent, where every loss feels like temporary and every small win feels like validation. But here's what most players don't realize: that feeling isn't luck, it isn't coincidence, and it certainly isn't random. It's psychology, weaponized, refined over decades of research into human behavior and brain chemistry. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how it works. We're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden mechanisms inside popular slot machines, the tricks that make you keep pressing that button, the illusions that make losing feel like almost winning, the sounds and lights that trigger dopamine releases in your brain. By the end of this, you'll never look at a casino floor the same way again. You'll understand why certain machines always have crowds, why some games feel more exciting than others, and why walking away feels so difficult even when you know you should stop. This isn't about judging anyone who plays slots. This is about understanding the game behind the game. Because once you see the psychology, you can't unsee it. Let's begin. Walk onto any casino floor and you'll see hundreds of slot machines. Different themes, different sounds, different jackpots, rows and rows of choices stretching out before you. It feels overwhelming, like standing in front of an enormous buffet where you need to decide which option gives you the best chance. And that feeling, that sense of choice, it's the first illusion. Because here's what casino designers know. Humans are psychologically wired to feel more invested when we believe we've made a choice, when we think we're in control. So casinos give you the appearance of endless variety. Ancient Egypt themes, movie franchises, classic fruit symbols, progressive jackpots, penny slots, high-limit rooms. But underneath all those different exteriors, the machines work almost identically. The same random number generators, the same programmed payout percentages, the same psychological triggers. A slot designer I spoke to explained it like this: we're not selling different games, we're selling different fantasies. But the engine under the hood is remarkably similar. Think about that for a moment. You might choose a machine because you like the theme, or because someone just won on it, or because it looks lucky, but that choice doesn't actually impact your odds. The machine doesn't care why you sat down. It's following its programming regardless of your reasoning. And this creates what psychologists call the illusion of control. You're pressing the button. You're deciding when to spin. Maybe you have a betting strategy. Maybe you switch machines when one goes cold. All of these actions make you feel like you're participating in the outcome, but you're not. The result of every spin was determined by a random number generator the microsecond you press that button. Everything else is just theater. The real spinning, that's animation, a visual representation of a decision that's already been made. In fact, modern slot machines could tell you the result instantly, but they don't. They show you spinning reels because humans need to feel like something is happening, like there's a process, like the outcome is being determined right in front of you. It's not. And the popular machines understand this better than any others. They give you more choices within the game, multiple pay lines, bonus features you can trigger, free spin rounds where you pick symbols. Each choice reinforces that feeling of control, that sense that your decisions matter. But here's the reality that casino mathematicians have known for decades. Those choices are decorative, cosmetic. No matter which bonus symbol you pick, the payout was already calculated. You're just revealing information that was decided before you made your selection. One former slot programmer I interviewed told me something that stayed with me. The hardest part of my job wasn't programming random outcomes. It was making predetermined outcomes feel random. Think about what that means. The entire experience is designed to disguise the fact that you have no influence over the result. Every choice you make, every decision you think matters is part of an elaborate presentation. And the most popular machines are popular precisely because they've mastered this illusion. They give you more buttons to press, more ways to customize your bet, more interactive bonus rounds. Each interaction makes your brain release a small amount of dopamine, that feeling of agency, of participation. You're not a passive observer. You're a player. You're involved. Except you're not really playing a game of skill. You're watching a predetermined outcome unfold in a way that makes you feel responsible for the result. When you win, it feels like your choices led to that win. When you lose, it feels like you almost had it, like you were close, like next time your decisions might be better. This is why people develop superstitions around slot machines. They press the button a certain way. They talk to the machine. They believe certain times of day are luckier. These rituals emerge because our brains desperately want to find patterns, to believe we have influence, to feel like we're not just pulling a lever on a random number generator. And casinos exploit that need ruthlessly. They design every element of the slot experience to reinforce the illusion that you're making meaningful choices, that you're in control, that your next decision could be the one that changes everything. But you're not in control. You never were. And that's just the beginning of how these machines manipulate your perception, because once they've convinced you that you have choices, they can start manipulating how you interpret the results of those choices. And that's where things get really interesting. Here's a question most slot players never ask. Why do you see the symbols you need so often, but they never quite line up? You're one cherry away from a big win. The scatter symbols appear on reels 1 and 2, but not on 3. The bonus icon shows up just above or below the pay line, over and over. Almost so close. Next time. This isn't bad luck. It's programming. Casinos discovered something fascinating about human psychology decades ago, something that changed the entire slot machine industry. Losing doesn't make people want to quit. Almost winning makes them want to play more. It seems counterintuitive at first. You'd think a loss would discourage continued play. You'd think people would walk away after losing multiple times in a row. But researchers studying gambling behavior found the opposite. When players experience a near miss, their brain responds almost identically to an actual win. The same dopamine pathways activate, the same excitement centers light up. Except there's one crucial difference. With a real win, you get a payout. Your brain experiences satisfaction and reward. With a near miss, you get the excitement without the satisfaction. Your brain is stimulated but not rewarded. And that creates something psychologists call frustrative non-reward. Your brain was expecting a reward, it got excited, it released dopamine in anticipation, and then nothing happened. But instead of interpreting this as a loss, your brain interprets it as evidence
that you're close, that you're getting better, that the next spin could be the one. This is why near misses are so powerful. They don't feel like losses. They feel like progress. And the popular slot machines are programmed to generate near misses at very specific frequencies. Too many near misses and players might catch on. Too few and players lose interest quickly. But get the ratio right and you create a psychological hook that's incredibly difficult to break. A cognitive psychologist I interviewed explained it this way. Near misses hijack the part of your brain that's designed to learn from mistakes. Your brain thinks, I was close, so I must be learning a pattern. But there is no pattern. It's random. So your brain keeps trying to learn something that can't be learned. Think about that mechanism for a moment. Every near miss tells your brain that you're improving, that you're figuring it out, that persistence will pay off. But you're not improving. You can't improve. The outcome is random. Your brain is trapped in a loop, trying to solve a puzzle that has no solution. And modern slot machines exploit this with surgical precision. They can program the reels to show near misses, even when the actual result was nowhere close. The random number generator might determine you lost decisively, but the visual representation shows you almost won. On older mechanical slots, this wasn't possible. The reels physically stopped where they stopped. But digital slots can show you anything. They can display a near miss even though the internal calculation never came close to a winning combination. One former casino technician told me something that stunned me. The machines are programmed to show you the symbols you want to see, not randomly, deliberately. They track which symbols players respond to emotionally and make sure those symbols appear frequently, just not in winning combinations. Let that sink in. The machine is watching your behavior, learning what excites you, and then showing you those exciting moments without paying you a cent. It's like dangling a carrot in front of a horse, close enough to keep moving forward, never close enough to actually reach. And the effect on player behavior is dramatic. Studies have shown that players who experience frequent near misses play significantly longer than players who experience random losses. They bet more money. They enter what researchers call chasing mode. They become convinced that they're due for a win, because their brain is interpreting near misses as valuable feedback, as information, as evidence that staying in the game will eventually pay off. But it won't. The near misses aren't predictive. They're not telling you anything meaningful about future spins. They're just keeping you in your seat. And here's the really disturbing part. Players report feeling more excited during sessions with frequent near misses, even though they lose more money overall. The psychological stimulation feels more rewarding than actual wins. Your brain is being trained to value the excitement of almost winning more than the satisfaction of actually winning. And once that training is complete, walking away becomes nearly impossible, because you're not chasing money anymore. You're chasing that feeling, that rush of coming close. And the machine can give you that feeling endlessly without ever paying you a cent. Close your eyes and imagine you're in a casino. What do you hear? It's not silence. It's not even ambient noise. It's a symphony. Electronic melodies, coins dropping, bells ringing, triumphant music. Even when you're losing, the casino sounds like people are winning. And that's not an accident. Every sound in a casino is designed, tested, optimized for psychological impact. The popular slot machines take this to an entirely different level. Let me tell you what most people don't realize. Those sounds you hear when you spin, they're not generated by the mechanical result. They're programmed separately. A win produces a certain sound, but so does a loss that looks like a near win. So does a small payout that gives you back less than you bet. Your brain doesn't distinguish between these scenarios. It hears celebration sounds and interprets them as success, even when you're losing money. Research into casino sound design has revealed something fascinating. Winning sounds trigger pleasure responses in the brain even when the player is experiencing a net loss. You bet $5 and win $3 back. Mathematically, you just lost $2. But the machine plays triumphant music, lights flash, coins animate across the screen. Your brain releases dopamine. It feels like winning. So your brain categorizes it as winning. This is what designers call losses disguised as wins. And popular slot machines are filled with them. They're programmed to celebrate outcomes that aren't actually profitable for the player, to make losing feel like progress. But the audio manipulation goes deeper than just celebration sounds. Casinos use a technique called audio embedding. They layer specific frequencies and musical patterns into the ambient sound that lower inhibitions and increase risk-taking behavior. One audio designer who worked for a major slot manufacturer explained it to me this way. We use rising pitch patterns because they create anticipation. We use major chords because they feel rewarding. We avoid dissonance because it causes discomfort that might make people leave. Every sound is calibrated to make you feel comfortable, excited, optimistic, never anxious, never uncomfortable, never aware of how much time is passing. And that's crucial, because time awareness is the enemy of extended play. The sounds create what psychologists call temporal distortion. You sit down for what feels like 20 minutes, you look at your watch, and 2 hours have passed. The constant audio stimulation prevents your brain from tracking time normally. You enter a flow state where external awareness fades. Some casinos even program their slot machines to sync with each other, creating harmonic patterns across the entire floor. You're not just hearing one machine. You're immersed in a carefully orchestrated soundscape designed to keep you in that chair. And the popular machines take this to even further with haptic feedback. The button you press isn't just a button. It's engineered to feel satisfying. The resistance, the click, the vibration. Each press triggers a small pleasure response in your brain. You're not just playing a game. You're engaging in a ritualistic behavior that feels inherently rewarding. Press the button, hear the sounds, see the lights, feel the vibration. Even before you know the result, your brain is being rewarded for the action itself. This is classical conditioning, the same mechanism Pavlov used with dogs and bells. Except instead of training you to salivate, they're training you to press that button again and again and again. The sounds and sensations become rewards in themselves. You're no longer playing for the jackpot. You're playing for the experience, the stimulation, the feeling of being engaged in something exciting. And the machines know exactly when to escalate that stimulation. When you've been losing for a while, the sounds become more dramatic, the feedback more intense. When you get a small win, The celebration is disproportionate to the payout. Everything is designed to maintain your emotional arousal at a level where you keep playing but never feel so frustrated that you walk away. It's a tightrope of psychological manipulation, and the most popular machines walk that line perfectly. They understand that gambling isn't really about money. It's about sensation, excitement, the feeling that something important is happening. And they can deliver that feeling mechanically, reliably, for as long as you keep pressing that button. The sounds aren't celebrating your wins. They're celebrating your continued participation. And once you understand that distinction, everything about the slot machine experience starts to look different. There's a term in the gambling industry that most players never hear: time on device. It's the primary metric by which slot machines are judged, not how much money they make, not how many jackpots they pay out, how long they keep someone sitting in that chair. Because casino operators know a simple truth: the longer you play, the more you lose. And popular slot machines are designed to maximize time on device, using principles borrowed from behavioral psychology. Specifically, something called variable ratio reinforcement. This is the same mechanism that makes social media addictive, the same reason people can't stop checking their phones. You don't know when the next reward is coming, but you know it's coming eventually, so you keep trying. In laboratory experiments, this reward schedule creates the most persistent behavior in animals, more persistent than regular rewards, more persistent than
any other conditioning pattern. Slot machines are essentially Skinner boxes for humans. You press a button. Sometimes you get rewarded. Most times you don't. But the unpredictability keeps you engaged far longer than a predictable pattern would. Here's what makes it so powerful. Your brain can't learn to predict variable ratio rewards. There's no pattern to recognize, no system to decode. So it stays in a state of heightened anticipation, always alert, always ready for the next reward. This creates what addiction researchers call compulsive continuation. You know logically that you should stop, but your brain is locked into the pattern, waiting for the next reward. And popular slot machines optimize this by removing natural stopping points. There's no end to a round, no pause between games, no moment where you have to actively decide to continue. You press the button and the next spin begins immediately. This eliminates what psychologists call decision friction. Every time you have to make a conscious choice to continue, there's a chance you'll choose to stop. So the machines remove those choice points. The game becomes continuous. One spin flows into the next. Before you know it, hundreds of spins have passed. One gambling researcher I spoke with described it this way: modern slots don't have games, they have sessions. The goal isn't to win a game, it's to keep the session going indefinitely. And they achieve this through careful manipulation of reward timing. Small wins come frequently enough to prevent frustration. Big wins come rarely enough to feel special. The machine creates a rhythm: loss-loss, small win; loss-loss-loss, medium win; loss-loss, small win. Your brain starts to anticipate this rhythm, starts to feel like it's learning the pattern. But the pattern is programmed. It's not random. It's designed to feel random while actually following a carefully calculated distribution. And this is where popular slots separate themselves from regular slots. They've perfected the ratio. Too many rewards, and the machine seems too easy. Players get bored. Too few rewards, and players get frustrated. They leave. But get the ratio exactly right, and you create what's called a persistence loop. Players enter a state where stopping feels wrong, where walking away feels like giving up right before the breakthrough. This is reinforced by what casinos call session loss limits. You're not trying to win a specific amount. You're trying not to lose your entire budget.
And popular machines are remarkably good at keeping you right at that edge. They'll give you small wins when your balance gets low, just enough to continue playing. They'll trigger bonus rounds right when you're thinking about leaving. Some machines actually track your play patterns and adjust their reward timing based on your behavior. They're learning when you're most likely to quit and intervening at those exact moments. A slot floor manager once told me something chilling. The most successful machines aren't the ones that take your money fastest. They're the ones that take it at the exact rate where you don't notice. Think about what that means. The machine is calibrated to extract your money slowly enough that you don't feel the loss acutely. You're bleeding out financially, but it doesn't hurt. Every small win makes you feel like you're staying even, like you're still in the game. But the math doesn't lie. The house edge means that over time you will lose. The question isn't if, it's how long it takes. And popular machines have perfected the art of making that process take as long as possible. Because every minute you spend at that machine is profit for the casino. And every minute you spend, the psychological hooks dig deeper, until walking away stops feeling like a choice. It feels impossible. Now you know the truth. Popular slot machines aren't popular because they're better. They're popular because they're better at manipulating psychology. Every sound, every near miss, every small win, it's all designed to keep you playing. But knowledge is power. And once you understand the mechanics, you can start to see them for what they are: tricks, illusions, manipulation. Here's what you need to remember. First, understand the mathematics. Slot machines have something called a return-to-player percentage, usually between 85 and 98%. That sounds good until you realize what it means. If a machine has a 95% return-to-player rate, the casino keeps 5% of every dollar wagered. Not 5% of players lose. 5% of every dollar disappears into casino revenue. Over time, this is mathematically guaranteed. You cannot beat the house edge. You can get lucky short-term, but the math always wins eventually. Second, recognize the manipulation tactics. When you hear celebration sounds, ask yourself, did I actually win more than I bet? When you see a near miss, remind yourself, that wasn't close. It was programmed to look close. When you feel excited to continue, pause and ask, is this genuine intuition or manufactured anticipation? Awareness breaks the spell. The machines rely on unconscious manipulation. Once you're consciously analyzing what's happening, the psychological hooks lose their power. Third, set hard limits before you play. Decide how much you're willing to lose before you sit down. Treat it as entertainment spending, not investment. Set a time limit, use an alarm, have someone call you. The moment you hit your limit, stand up and walk away. No exceptions. This sounds simple, but it's crucial.
The machines are designed to make you override your own rules. You need external accountability to resist that pressure. Fourth, understand that casinos want you to stay. Free drinks, comfortable chairs, no clocks, no windows. Everything is designed to make you lose track of time and keep playing. Counter this by taking regular breaks. Step outside, check the time, ground yourself in reality. And finally, recognize when entertainment becomes compulsion. If you're chasing losses, if you're spending money you can't afford to lose, if you're lying to people about your gambling, these are warning signs. Gambling addiction is real, and these machines are designed to create it. There's no shame in seeking help if you need it. Understanding the psychology doesn't make you immune. It makes you informed.
Slot machines can be entertaining when approached with clear boundaries and realistic expectations. But the popular machines, the ones that always have crowds, they're not designed for entertainment. They're designed for extraction. To keep you playing longer, to take more of your money, to override your better judgment with carefully crafted psychological manipulation. Now you know how it works. Now you can make informed decisions. The house always has an edge, but you have knowledge. And sometimes that's enough to walk away. So there it is, the hidden psychology inside popular slot machines. The illusion of choice that makes you feel in control when you're not. The near-miss programming that makes losing feel like progress. The sounds and sensations designed to manipulate your emotions and distort your sense of time. The behavioral conditioning that removes natural stopping points and creates compulsive continuation. None of this is accidental. Every element we've discussed was designed by teams of psychologists and engineers who understand human behavior better than most of us understand ourselves. And they've used that knowledge to create machines that are remarkably effective at keeping people playing longer than they intended. The casinos call it player engagement. But now you know what it really is: psychological manipulation. Refined over decades, optimized through millions of hours of player data. The popular machines are popular because they've perfected these techniques. They've found the exact combination of sounds, visuals, reward timing, and sensory feedback that maximizes time on device. And time on device means revenue. Every minute you sit at that machine, the house edge is working against you. The math is patient. The math always wins. But here's what I want you to remember. This isn't about judging anyone who plays slots. This isn't about moralizing or shaming. This is about awareness. When you walk into a casino now, you'll see things differently. You'll notice the crowds around certain machines, and you'll know why. You'll hear the sounds and recognize them as psychological tools. You'll see the near misses and understand they're programmed, not random. And that awareness gives you power. The power to set boundaries, the power to recognize manipulation, the power to walk away. Casinos aren't evil. Slot machines aren't evil. But they are designed with one purpose: to be profitable. And the most profitable machines are the ones that keep you playing the longest. Now you understand how they do it. The question is, what will you do with that knowledge? Maybe you'll never look at a casino the same way again. Maybe you'll still play, but with clear limits and realistic expectations. Maybe you'll share this information with someone who needs to hear it. Whatever you choose, you're making an informed decision. You're not being manipulated unconsciously anymore. You see the game behind the game. And sometimes that's the most valuable thing you can walk away from a casino with. Not winnings, not losses, understanding. If this video opened your eyes to something you didn't know before, consider sharing it with someone who might benefit from this information. Knowledge breaks the spell. And the more people understand how these machines work, the less power those machines have. Thanks for watching. And remember, the house always has an edge, but you have a choice. Make it wisely.